thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me this, I guess, afternoon for you guys. It's evening for me.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us sleep in.
And no problem. So, oh no, now I've lost it again. Here it is. So, you guys have your new album coming out, Revelator, pretty quick. But your last album was out in 2017, which is 5 years ago already.
Yeah.
And I heard that this album was actually written before and recorded even before the pandemic set in.
Yeah. So, yeah, we took a year off in 2018, I think. Yeah. 2018 to start writing, just to kind of get our heads right from being on the road for so long. Just kind of readjust.
Well, I learned how to be creative again.
Yeah.
You get so you turn into a robot on the road sometimes because you're kind of doing the same thing night after night after night after night. So it just becomes second nature. But to learn to be creative again, it kind of takes a little change.
Yeah. So we kind of forced that. And, and then took a year to make the record. And then next thing you know, the thing happened. Right.
Oh yeah.
So we just kind of we've been sitting on this record for
2 years.
2 years almost. Yeah, it seems like, I think. So we just finally said, well, if the world's I don't know if it's going to change back, so let's just release the record anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, what quite a few bands who are in the same position as you guys ended up doing, and to varying degrees of success, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
It's because of 2020 and all the music that didn't get released, there is just an overload of new music coming out now. Like every band has material that they're ready to release now, and so it's pretty crazy, seeing our name on the charts with like Guns N' Roses or Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder, or some of these like big iconic A-list rock acts, and then you see Shaman's Harvest right there with them, so it's pretty cool.
Bit of a bottleneck.
Yeah, bottleneck out there, it is.
I love that. Well, what did you guys do if you weren't writing a new album in that time?
Yeah, I mean, there's we just kept thinking it was going to be like, well, it'll be another month. Well, it'll just be like another month. You know what I mean? So like, we're kind of in limbo a little bit. Yeah. We focused on our personal lives because they all needed attention after being on the road for as many years as we've been. Kind of gave some attention. That was also in turn helped us be more creative again. And we've got a few song ideas kicking off for the next record already. So,
right.
Which is nice, we to be ahead of the game a little bit. I guess that's the payoff, I guess, of not being sure of anything.
Amazing. It's always interesting because every band, it's a little bit different what's been going on. So each story is always just fascinating.
Sure.
Yeah, we can definitely, that's what we can say. These times are definitely fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the ultimate purgatory, were there any other setbacks from the pandemic? Were you able to do like music videos or anything like that you wanted to get done? Or
we shot some music videos last year, just a couple of them, just to have in the can to get out. But really, to be honest with you, I mean, we all live in different areas of the States here, and so we're just kind of like, we've been kind of isolated from each other, not really intentionally, just because of life, So we've really, before this tour that we're on, we really just kind of started getting back playing together again, which has been amazing. You didn't realize you missed it as much as you did till you do it. It's like finally connecting with a lost family member almost,
Yeah. It's like we forgot how much fun it was.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's good to have a little like reset every once in a while to remind you why you love doing it in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. We needed it. We needed the reset for sure.
Yeah.
So of course, the first thing I want to ask about is the album title, Rebelator. Where did that come from? What does it mean?
What do you want it to mean? It's you know, I mean, it was like trying to put I don't know, at the time it was like there's just so much friction, and everybody just felt like they was rebelling against something, you know. I mean, rebellion almost became the norm, you know. It seems like,
and everyone has their own thing that sends them over the edge, you know. So it's kind of like that's what it is.
That's the caveat. That's the Revelator is like that's that moment.
It's whatever it is in anyone's life that just pushes them over their edge and makes them, you know, rebel, I guess, you know. I guess it's the intended.
Or at least feel that crazy rage.
It's kind of crazy whenever you invent a word and then you have to like explain the definition of it.
I recently heard something where they were saying that in the simplest way possible, that the first fallen angels were before evil were actually just rebels who didn't like the rules put down by God or whatever. And I thought that was a really cool way of putting it.
I love that. Yeah.
So
even the angels fall.
So I discovered you guys a few years ago when Mascot shot me a promo for Red Hands Black Deeds, and I was really impressed at the just variety of sounds on the album. It was really alternative rock, but it felt like there was a lot of blues, jazz, funk, country, like a little bit of everything on that. And then listening to Revelator sounds like a little bit more like straightforward in sound. So was that like an intentional shift away, or was Red Hands Black Deeds a bit more of an experiment in sound, or how would you explain the difference between the sound and the album?
Sure. Well, every record we've done is, I mean, they're all experiments in sound. I mean, they really are. Even this one, I mean, it's funny. It's probably more straightforward from I guess in a modern sense, you know, like a modern sound, I guess. But for us, that's an experiment, you know. It still has like banjos and all kinds of stuff in the background, like in the ambient parts and weird drums, and like, you know, we still had fun exploring that. We just did it in a more I guess traditional in the now time sense.
You know, I think a big difference between the two is the two producers, both equally awesome in their own right. Keith Armstrong with Red Hands Black Deeds is a real analog guy, you know, the old school tones and just that kind of stuff. And Kyle is a, you know, more modern, more metal type of producer, songwriter himself, guitarist. So, you know, I think you get a little bit of that in there too. And this being our 7th record, each record you learn a little bit, you know, and so your palette gets a little bigger as far as knowledge and skill base. So I think it all just kind of adds to it, and you know, helped in the creation of the new record.
Yeah, it's really testament to, like you said, like the influence a producer has on a band and their record. They become another member,
right?
Really, they should. If it doesn't feel that way, then you've got the wrong producer for sure. You want them to be excited. You want them to feel like they have creative ownership in the process, because then there's the passion. It's just, you know, I mean, we don't. That's what I listen. That's what we all listen to music for. Is just the emotional experience. It should feel that way when you're making it.
Incredible. Well, that in mind, I looked online and I saw that, or at least the internet told me, that you guys don't currently have a bass player in your lineup. Is that still accurate?
No. Yeah. It was necessary to part ways for everyone involved, but we do have a current bass player. His name's Cord Bishop, which is like one of the coolest names. Like that's what his parents actually gave him that name. And he's phenomenal. He's normally a singer and a lead guitar player in another band named Troy. But we kind of try to snag him, and it's been amazing because he's really injected a new energy, like every new member should, but like even a little right when we really needed it, you know, with every wall that we've hit in this last couple of years. You know, you just kind of get a little torn down as far as your passion towards the project. But he's just like, nah, boys, let's get this done, and let's be excited. He's really injected what we need.
It's cool. You know, we've been friends with the guy for over a decade. His band's done a lot of shows with us over the years, and it's just cool to see our relationship grow into this new chapter of now him being a part of the group. And you know, on bass, he stands out. He holds it down vocally. You know, he hops right in on the harmonies. His energy on stage is on point, and off stage, it's even better. So, you know, we're just started this new tour. We haven't toured in almost 3 years, and it's come to find out it's just like riding a bike. We can still do it.
Amazing. So the first question I wanted to ask about the album then was, what inspires you lyrically? Because I know Red Hands Black Deeds is a little more political than you guys usually step into from what I read. So what was Revelator about? And do you find any sort of general themes of the album, or are they all kind of a collection of concepts?
Well, I mean, I think this record more than, I mean, almost every record we ever make, it's from song to song. There's it's quite a bit different, genre wise. The feel is different. The whatever it's emoting feels different. This record might even be more juxtaposition between songs. So each song, I find it just, you know, you have to serve the song in this process. The last record was kind of a concept record, the whole thing for us. This record is, you know, each song demanded was its own. So, you know, some songs,
each song was its own concept.
Yeah, really. So you know, some songs is that's the old relationship stuff, you know, like that every rock and roll singer croons about sometimes. And then you know, some of it's fantasy. Like there's a song in there about cops and robbers, and that's a whole fantasy, you know, kind of storyline type song. There's some little hints of politics in there, but we really do try to reduce that as much as possible. But you know, it's just whatever we're feeling. Some of it is like Bird Dog, for instance, is a song that is kind of like we can walk out our door and see the effects of methamphetamines and pills and stuff on our surroundings, and how industry's really dried up in all these little small towns and people get desperate. And so some of it is our direct surroundings, and some of it's pure. It's how you should write a record. You know, you should be a little bit of everything. It can't be the same bullshit.
Well, like in Bird Dog, whenever we were recording the demos of that, Nate was traveling back and forth from his little cabin out in the woods. It's about an hour away from where we were at. And but he would have to drive through all these tiny towns that at one point in time, not too long ago, they were thriving communities. And now they're just decrepit and you know, look like they could use a hug. So, you know, I figured whenever we came up with that riff, and then once Nate started throwing down some lyrics on it, like I just felt like you came up with some of those lyrics driving home.
Absolutely.
All those late nights driving back to these small communities that wouldn't even have a gas station or petrol or whatever it calls it everywhere else.
Incredible. Well, talking about the songs, the first one I wanted to ask about was Toe the Line, because I could swear that I am hearing someone growling in the back of that like a death metal guy.
Yeah.
Is that
Like,
you?
again, I just want to like from song to song again. I want to try to touch a little bit of every genre out there that we can, and yeah, it is me, and but luckily Josh pulls it off live.
Yeah,
so.
I get to do it live. Yay. Yeah, so the devil's digging our spurs in.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, so yeah, we just sure, a little death metal, why not?
I love it. Well, again, that's, I think, what made me fall in love with you guys immediately when I heard Red Hands Black Deeds, was just how easily and smoothly you added little bits of any sort of genre that you wanted into the music, and just how well it worked, little things that I never would have expected.
Well, that's the most exciting thing about writing music is, I mean, if it was like, I don't know, if it was like a visual art, the piece being like 7 or 8 different mediums in one piece, like that's how I think all of us see the music. Like, yeah, it could sound really cool as like, just for instance, like we could make a really cool just death metal song, but like how cool would a banjo be in this one little part,
right,
to like just tickle the ears, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love it. Next song I wanted to ask about was Voices, of course, like the major first single. I know it wasn't the first single that came out, but like the big premiere single kind of. As someone who personally has some mental health issues and a lot of voices in my head telling me that I'm not good enough or whatever, I thought that really hit quite strong. So I was interested in what kind of inspired the lyrics for that.
Well, I think it's I think especially it's what I think everyone feels more comfortable to talk about those things, I mean, I think we all, I know everybody in this band, we're all kind of got voices telling us do it, do better, look better, be better, get out of bed. We all go through these depression states, and for us, we have to get up every day to do these things. But I just think the whole world is more comfortable in talking about this, right?
It's getting there,
yeah. And so I think it's something. I mean, we didn't make the song to be relatable to a lot of people, but that's I think a byproduct of making this.
I think a lot of the way we write, it's kind of vague enough to where what it means to you can be completely different than what it means to me, and we're both correct in what it means, because it's just, you leave enough room in there for personal interpretation, and really I think that's why some people get so
they have an attachment.
Yeah, the connection between a particular song and one's reality, it creates that bond. So, and I really think that's really one of the focuses in our sound, is finding those kind of moments. And yeah,
and Voices is one of those.
Sure.
It's great too, because it's got that really sing-along quality. So if you're having a bad mood and you want to sing something to get that stanky energy out, it works.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. No, the sing along. I mean, I love a good hook.
Yeah, man. Right? And that guitar solo, wham.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing it's got to be like the best guitar solo of the year.
It was the most pressure of the entire thing, was how that guitar solo was written. It was like, it has to be the best, because it's like the longest solo we've ever done.
Guitar solos like that don't end up on radio anymore, and so we had to fight to keep it in, the final mix. And,
the label was like, maybe we don't need a guitar solo like that.
We're like, what?
We're like, pretty sure we do. But
maybe we don't need a label.
I love it. No, it wouldn't be the same without it, for sure. But sometimes you got to put your foot down at the label, definitely.
Sure.
Well, that actually answered my next question, which was about the solos. So Next track I wanted to ask about was Mama, because it's so short, so sweet, almost like an interlude. So how did that song come to be?
Well, honestly, that's what I kind of thought it was going to be, would just be a little interlude piece. And it was just one of those things. Nate was tracking another song in a different room, and I was just had this guitar part stuck in my brain, and I was just playing it, and the melody kind of popped in my head. And we took a break. Nate went to go get dinner, get everybody some dinner, and I asked Derek, I was like, hey, will you throw a harmony on this with me? Let's see what it sounds like. And our engineer at the time, Jordan Westfall, was like, oh, let's just track it real quick while Nate's not in the room, get something done. And here comes Nate with a bunch of food coming back in, and he's like, what are y'all working on? We're like, oh, I just want to track this idea real quick. And so we kind of played it back, and he goes, yep, we're working on that the rest of the night. And so me, Drake, and me, Nate, and Derek laid down the 3-part harmonies and just kind of made a nice little concise little tune.
And it's cool because he's doing the main vocals, and I mean, since we've been making records, that's the first time that's happened, and it feels like a whole new energy comes in when that hits. The drama of that song, I absolutely love. I just love the mood and all the ambient noises and the Evo guitar parts and stuff like that. And it just, it's perfect too. It's also kind of like, it's just, I love the strangeness of it. It's like too long for an interlude, but not quite long enough for like a full song. So I just love that it is what it is, and it's beautiful, and it's perfect.
So you also worked with Clint Lowry on Pretty People.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys hook up with him, and what was that like? We've
been friends for probably a good decade.
We met him. He reached out to us on MySpace back in the day.
Yeah, so that's how long.
Blast from the past.
Yeah. So, and we've toured together for, off and on with his different projects throughout the years. We've always talked about just collaborating on something, whether it's for Seven Dust or one of his things or one of our things or whatever. And I feel like I might have been like a creative stump moment, because we were stopping and starting so much making this record. So we were kind of like we hit that wall, as people do. And the label was like, well, how about a guest writer to just kind of bring in some energy? And we knew exactly who it was. And next thing you know, boom, it was a frenzy of writing.
And he's just such a professional in the studio. I mean, not that we're not professional, but like he's dotting I's and crossing T's. I mean, he is just really the real deal. He came in, got to it, and knocked it out. Wow.
He's one of those players that's like, he's tracking a part and he's thinking about the next 3 parts he's got to track. So it's mapping all in his brain. He's one of those people, he's like almost a savant in the sense of his workflow. Is really smart.
Incredible.
Great guy.
I love it. So one thing I noticed is kind of browsing your albums is that the album art through all of them has been really different, like stylistically and everything, even including the single art for voices. So I was curious, was that a conscious choice, or did you just feel kind of like every album just had a totally different vibe, so needed totally different art?
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, it would probably serve us as having a brand better if we were to go, this is the vibe for each thing, which I always love. Rival Sons is one of those people that have a cool, they have the same art style, from album to album. I love when people do that, but it just, I don't know, for our records are so different from each other that it just needs something else. So and a lot of times it's like a tattoo artist that one of us likes, or a buddy, or whatever. That's just that
it's kind of like, we don't know what any of it's going to be, but then when we see it, that's it. Like there it is, right there. So
the poor artists never have any direction from us. We're just give them the record, make something, and don't make that good. Don't make it shitty, and then give it to us.
Make it to our liking.
Done.
I love it. But maybe that's because you just described the way I've done all of my tattoos. So
Hey,
There you go.
never the same artist twice, always want someone different.
yeah.
Well, as I understood, you guys were actually supposed to have a show yesterday. So did that go forward?
Yeah.
We did. Sold out.
How'd it go?
It was
Huntsville,
terrible.
Alabama.
It was awful. No, I'm just kidding. It was amazing. It was
It
a
was.
beautiful moment. It was the first show that we've been on stage in 3 years. It was, it was all the emotions were there. The jitters were like, I haven't been that nervous since
Yeah.
my kids were born, so like it was wild, man. It was wild to go through that thing where you're like, it's like you're going to prom or something. You get the jitters and whatnot, and then about halfway through the set, you're like, oh, okay,
We got it.
It's like riding that bike, and then then you get the crowd is kind of in your hand again, and you're like, okay, let's have this experience, and then it's just tapping into that live energy is you don't know that you miss it until you don't have it.
Right.
Hmm.
And we're touring with Theory of a Dead Man, and we've toured with those guys quite a bit in the past, and they're just a great bunch of guys, and we knew going into this tour this was going to be a great way to reestablish us, say, hey, we're still here, and we're rocking. So to first night out, sold out crowd, you can't ask for more than that.
Oh yeah. Well, in my experience over these last few years, not a lot of shows going on, and the crowds have been maybe a lot extra bananas than normally, just because they're so concert starved. So
Yeah.
Right. Well, there were extra bananas last night. We have some pretty intense COVID protocols that go along with the tour.
Yeah.
The audience does not, so it's kind of hard to make them understand. Like normally we do meet and greets and hang out and sign whatever you want signed, take pictures. So that's the only kind of, you feel like an asshole, but you hope that they understand that you have to go to the next night, and the tour has to maintain. So that's the only down part of the whole thing.
Yeah, we've always been a band that we took pride in the fact that we wanted to create an experience with the people to come out, and so we loved getting out in the crowd, taking pictures, signing autographs, and all that stuff. And last night was literally the first time in our career that we went to the bus.
Yeah, we had to be like,
and then people come to the bus and, what happened to you guys? Y'all used to hang out outside the bus. And, we want to stay on this tour, man.
The world happened to us.
I don't know. We didn't make the rules. We're just trying to get to the next city, trying to keep as many people happy as we can.
speaking of Theory of a Dead Man, now I'm not hugely familiar with their music, but I thought like pairing you guys together was kind of interesting. And as you mentioned, you've toured with them quite a lot. So do you find there's a big crossover in your fans, or do you think the musical variety brings kind of both new fans for both of you?
Yeah, both of those things. There is some crossover. We've always kind of been like, as far as the Apple playlist and the Spotify's and all the things, the ways to hear us, they always pair us with the same kind of genre, which is interesting because we're completely different musically. But as far as like, I love a tour, a package that goes out and they are different. Like, A, it's more interesting for us. B, there's more people in the crowd because you're not getting just like drinking from the same trough.
With that in mind, have you guys ever played in Finland before?
No, we haven't.
We had a tour booked there through there.
2017, I think.
2017, and it fell through like 3 days before we were supposed to get on that plane.
Oh crap.
Yeah, that's how it happened. And hopefully, well, it won't be this year, it sounds like, but hopefully within the next 2 we'll be over there.
Getting over to Europe and UK and Finland, and all the extra places. It's top priority. We're really doing everything we can. Like right now, we're just trying to get our legs back under us. Start with some shows here close to home, and just trying to get that train rolling.
But as soon as the world allows, we'll start sorting that.
Sure.
I guess I've used just about all my time here. So one more question was, if you could pass on one message to the world and, make some sort of change with your music, what do you think that message would be?
I would just say be kind to people. You don't know what kind of demons strangers you bump into are dealing with on the daily. Everybody's got their issues. Just be kind.
Zero judgment, man. That's it. Zero judgment. Be kind. And that fixes almost everything right there. Kindness.
I
That
love it.
fixes probably 90% of the bullshit.
Truly, love, not hate.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know this time distance is a little wild to work with. Is there anything else you guys want to say before I let you go?
Yeah. I mean, just please buy the record. Please. Pretty please. Please buy this 3-year long.
Yeah.
In the process of making this record.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or don't, but mostly please.
Yeah.
Buying albums still matters. Come on, people.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. If you want to help the artist more than anything, more than streaming or anything else, man, buy that record.
Thank you in advance.
Because we know you will.
Yep.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm just going to go pre-order your album now. And
Girl.
There's one. We did our job.
Yes, definitely. Check out Revelator, out next month. March 11th, was it?
March 11th. Yep, March 11th.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Amazing.
All right,
Thank you so much, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.